beautiful Ocala. So welcome to Reverend Maria Shamaya Clemente.
Thank you. Good morning, all you beautiful people. How are you today? My people. That's my peace. Good to be back. It's been a while. Nice to be back. Yeah. All right, let's breathe. It's a relatively simple little prayer. And like most prayers, it has a really powerful message. And it's in a form that you carry around and can access anytime that will get you through any circumstance and situation. And the prayer that I've been really focused on in the last couple of weeks that has brought me back to center again and again is something that has uplifted and inspired millions around the world. So as I say it, I'm going to invite you to say it with me. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Powerful prayer, isn't it? And for some reason, it's been really striking a chord in me lately as I think about its three main premises: serenity, courage, wisdom. That whatever we see revealed to us out there can ultimately be brought back to center by accessing those three beautiful spiritual qualities: serenity, courage, and wisdom. And what also inspired me this week was a new appreciation for the way that it's laid out and the order. It's to accept the things I cannot change first. That's where the serenity comes in. And then from that place, we can access the courage to change the things we can. But you notice that you cannot change the things you can without the serenity to accept the things you cannot first. The courage comes from the serenity. And that sounds like a really simple idea, courage coming from serenity, but for some reason it really reached me this week. Courage coming from serenity. It's probably because with all the things that are going on in the world around us, and all the people that are trying to figure out, what do I do first? I have been working a lot with Interfaith and a lot of other different people in different civic community organizations. And what I've discovered a lot is that I seem to be surrounded by a lot of pissed off activists. People that just wish the world would get its act together. And you know what? If you don't have the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, don't come to my house. But the idea of being the change we want to see in the world comes from that place of serenity. Like most good prayers, it will take us to somewhere that inspires and uplifts us. I often use the One Life prayer by Ernest Holmes. That's my go-to prayer. There is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. That life is your life now. That life is our life now. That is our life. And every time I say that, it reminds me of the oneness and the perfection and the divine order that exists within and all around us. That's the go-to prayer. And every once in a while, when I get a little bit annoyed with the way things are going on, I just revert back to the old Catholic days. But I give it a little bit of a twist because I say, oh, Hail Mary, full of grace. And that also can work too. But each of us has a prayer. Each of us has that spiritual inspiration that we go to again and again and again, that get us through whatever circumstance or situation. They uplift us, they transform us, and they uplift and transform the world around us. What I call that is the faith and trust company. And the faith and trust that you see up here, it's an acronym, because I don't know if you've heard me talk before, but I love acronyms. If I can make an acronym out of anything, I am all about that. Faith and trust. That's the place we find ourselves in when we are in a prayerful mode. So faith, F-A-I-T-H, stands for focus attention inward towards heaven. So when we're in a prayerful place, whether it's the Serenity Prayer or the One Life Prayer or the Hail Mary, this is our Hail Mary prayer. Faith, focus attention inward towards heaven. And when you do, then what happens? Then comes trust. T-R-U-S-T, and that stands for totally rely upon spiritual truth. So the key to transformation, spiritual transformation, to upliftment and to inspiration comes in those two words, faith and trust. Focus attention inward towards heaven and totally rely upon spiritual truth. And as you do then, because you realize that your prayer is not what you say or what you do, it's who you are. It's your vibration. It's the way that you are showing up in the world. So to be very conscious of the vibration that you are anchoring when you step out from your prayerful place and you interact with anyone or you find yourself a part of any circumstance or situation, you want to be sure that your attention is focused on heaven and that you are relying upon spiritual truth. So to be conscious as you step out, to be that change, to be the peace, to be the love, to be the joy, to be the kindness. That's your vibration. That's what you bring to the world. The world does not need us to change things because we are simply unhappy with the way things are. We need to find that place of serenity, to anchor a sense of prayerfulness, and then to step out and to be that. I shared the quotes with you before about changing the world. And the first one comes from David Hawkins, who wrote this book called Power versus Force. And he gives us this extraordinary quote. And it's the second one here. The next one. 0.1% of a people unified by a single cause can change the consciousness of the world. Or by the Ingle cause. I like that. Or jingle cause. A Pringle cause. I could keep going. I like when Spirit had this sense of humor. 0.1%. How much does that come down to? 0.1% can counterbalance 750,000 people of the lower vibration. 750,000 people. He calibrates the levels of consciousness. And he starts off with the idea that at the lower level, fear is measured at 200, love is at 500, peace is at 600, oneness is at 700. So if you're the 1%, 0.1% at a level 500, which is love, you can counterbalance 750,000 people, that energy of a lower vibration. If you're at a level 600, which is the idea of true peace, you can shift the consciousness. Are you ready for this number? 70 million people. So 70 million people. Just by you walking out your door and anchoring that consciousness, because you're turned towards heaven and you're relying upon spiritual truth, you're hanging out in serenity, 70 million people can be impacted by your energy. Do you realize how extraordinary that gift is? So when we started going through this current level of madness in the world with everybody shooting everybody because nobody likes anybody's religion or nobody likes anybody's color or race, we started bringing together the interfaith group in Tri-County. I live down in Lake County, so it's Sumter County, Lake County, and Marion County. And we started talking about what we could do as an interfaith community in the midst of a world that's consumed by violence. We talked about the idea of thoughts and prayers no longer being effective at a political level. But for those of us that know, thoughts and prayers are what it's all about. Our prayers are what change the world. And we seem to have then moved into a phase where, because we weren't allowed to talk about thoughts and prayers anymore, I call it the condemnation and condolences section of the program, where we condemn actions and then we say, I'm really sorry for your community. So that we've shifted from thoughts and prayers to condemnation and condolences. And we sat together in a room, a whole body of Catholics and Lutherans and Baptists and those of us that just believe everything, and the Baha'is and the Unitarians and the whole group. And they all offered condolences and condemnations. They all hung out in thoughts and prayers, but no one said a prayer. Not one prayer was uttered in the midst of all of this. And we were trying to do something to bring the community together. We sat for 3 hours and didn't think of a thing. Okay. Well, I go back to this. This is me. I'm the 1/10 of 1%. So me and my Eagle claws are going to go out on the road and do what we need to do. So we are eventually going to have a peace prayer service tonight. But what I thought of when I left that place was, I am that. And even if you look around and don't think the politicians, don't wait for politicians, don't wait for your government, don't wait for your community, don't even wait for your spiritual leaders. Each of us get out in the world and be that single cause in making a difference. I said, I am going to more consciously than ever, when I step out into the world for this coming week as my focus, be that change I want to see in the world. And I am going to put it into practice and make note of everything that changes. So I did. The first thing I did was my Tuesday, this was a Sunday, my Tuesday I go to Tai Chi class. We ended up with a new Tai Chi teacher, and that Tai Chi teacher, part of Tai Chi deals with martial arts. The Tai Chi teacher started talking about how to use the martial arts to inflict harm on other people, and to move out of that space of the more meditative aspect of Tai Chi. And he started to get a little gleeful about how you could put someone's eye out, or do all these other things. And I thought, I think we've lost our focus. So I said, okay, if I want change, I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be upset. I just looked at him and I said, thank you, you're not my teacher. And I said, I'm going to go somewhere else, someone who is my teacher. And I can affect that change by simply being the teacher I want to see in the world. I had a minister who was my mentor, and her affirmation was, I want to become a better teacher of that truth by becoming the truth itself. So let me be the meditation, let me see what I want to see in the world. And then I thought, I work in a flea market on the weekends, and I would be willing to bet you that I could find people there who think differently than I do. Just a handful, I'm sure. And I would be that change. I would be peace. I would engage in conversation. I would see people differently. I would find out what people believe. I would engage in meaningful conversation. But before I did, I had this interesting experience. I was on my way there, and I realized I needed to send something out through the post office. But there was only one post office that was available to me in the time and proximity that I was on my way to the flea market. The postal person, I'll use that word, the postal person that works there, on their best day, they're grouchy. On their more challenging day, they yell a lot. I've been yelled at a few times. I said, stay behind that line. And every time I go in there, I'm hi, how are you doing? So I said, this is perfect. This is how I'm going to change the whole consciousness of the world, by engaging in this one peaceful action. So all the way there, I kept, my prayer was the Metta prayer from the Buddhists. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. And I would see his face, and I'd do that prayer. And every once in a while, the old consciousness would percolate up, and it'd go, oh, you old grouch. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. I did that all the way up there. I got out of the car and I said, I am ready. The future of peace rests on this one moment. I am ready to go. I walked in there. I was all sunshine and smile. There was no line, which never happens. I walked up to that counter. I said, good morning. And he said, ugh. And I said, okay. May you be filled with loving kindness. So I looked at him, and he was punching buttons in. And I looked at my package, and I looked at him, and I said, wow, what a lovely address, isn't that? Sparrow Tree Lane. Doesn't that sound beautiful? And he looked up at me, and he looked in my eyes, and he started singing His Eyes on the Sparrow. He just started singing and snapping his fingers, and he smiled at me, and I smiled, and we started singing His Eyes on the Sparrow. And when he finished, he said, God is good all the time. And I said, yes, indeed. And he started quoting scripture to me, and I started talking about that, and he said, God has blessed my life. And I said, tell me about it. And we talked, and there was no one in the post office. And we talked for about 5 minutes, and he finished, and he handed my receipt, and he said, you are beautiful. Have a lovely day. And I said, when you set out with that intention, that 1%, that 1/10 of 1% changes the consciousness of the world. If you think about stepping out wherever it is that you are going, no place is insignificant. There is no large or small in spirit. Everywhere you go, we have the opportunity to reach out and touch someone's heart, to transform someone's mind, to reach out, and we never know where that goes. That's how we reach 70 million people. It ripples, and it ripples, and it ripples. So as you're heading on out into the world to be that transformative place of peace, and you anchor yourself in that place of prayer, and you raise your vibration to shift the consciousness of the world, remember also to come back to center. Remember also to go back to those spiritual practices that sustain you day in and day out. So what is your prayer that you reach for every time? How do you step out in the world to shift the consciousness of the place in which you live? And then what sustains you? I know that this teaching has sustained me for decades. And I know that many of us in this room have been down many different spiritual paths and probably entertained many different spiritual paths along the way. So I thought about what was singularly important to me. And so many things came to mind about Science of Mind. But I came up with 3 questions that show to me what the hallmark of a really advanced spiritual teaching, the things that touch me most. So when I thought about Science of Mind, or Buddhism, or 12-step, or anything that we are engaged in, these 3 questions came up for me. This is what I'm looking for. Am I looking for a teaching that allows me to find the right answers to my questions, or will show me how to live in the mystery of the questions themselves? I don't want something that will give me the right answers. Harry Emerson Fosdick said, I would rather live in a world so mind-boggling, that's my paraphrase, so large that my mind cannot comprehend it, than to live in a world so small I've got it all figured out. So do I want to live in a world that gives me all the right answers, or do I want to learn how to live in the mystery, let go of the shore and float and live in that mystery? That was the first question. The second question was, do I want a teaching? Let me see if I can word it exactly for you. Do I want a teaching that will show me how to be comfortable and make me feel good? Or do I want a teaching that will tell me that there's nothing and no one outside of the one? Do I want to feel good? Do I want to be taught how to put the white light up? Do I want to seek protection? Do I want to feel comforted in the midst of the mystery? Or do I want to stand in that centered place that knows that there isn't anything other than spirit at work, no matter what appears before me? That's what I'm looking for. The third question, do I want a spiritual teaching where I can be, where we can be leaders in revolutionary thinking and radical spiritual practices? Or do we want to spend all our time on the defense saying, we're not a cult, we're really okay? I want to be a part of something that is different, that is radical, that is revolutionary, that stands out. So those three questions came to my mind as I was thinking about what sustains me. So what sustains you? Music. Prayer. What's important to you in your teaching? What assists you? What uplifts you? What is what the Buddhists call your one seat? The place that you return to again and again and again. As we open up to the world in which we live, what we bring, what we share, who we are, is the world that we see reflected back to us. So as more and more people come up to us in times of chaos and confusion, in times of violence, we can show them what it is to be centered in spirit, in truth, in faith, in prayer, in oneness. The last time I was here was Christmas, but the time before that was exactly 6 months ago. It was the morning after the Tree of Life shooting in synagogue in Pittsburgh. And then today is after the shooting in the synagogue in San Diego. So as I was composing this talk, and I thought, well, we need to be centered in prayer. We need to realize that we are the vibration that changes the consciousness in the world, and we need to return them to the mat to be sustained again and again. But that thought of being here at that auspicious time again and again made me think about this one thing which I had never really entertained before. Although this violence is not necessarily about religion, it's about people. On some level it is about religion. And there was this little question that was running through my head this morning on the way here. Do I have any unfinished business with any religion that I have engaged in at any point in my life? Do I have any what's 2, 5? 2, 5. Keep on. Okay, 7. 7? 7 minutes. 7 minutes till we feed the dog. 7 minutes till we take the offering. Thank you, Brian. You didn't know you were signing up for that. So I'm going to leave you with that question. I've heard people say jokingly, I'm a recovering Catholic. I've heard people say, well, I'm glad I'm not a Baptist. Although the potlucks are really good. I have heard people express fear about other religions, such as the Islamic religion. Not outwardly, but questions, things they didn't understand. Being at the flea market, the stories about Jewish people and how they deal with finances, they're all around us. If there is anything in any of our hearts or minds in this coming week that needs to be cleared of old religious thinking, programming, beliefs, any level of forgiveness, anything that can be erased, released, transcended, I invite everyone in this room to do that, to contribute that to the collective consciousness, to be the change you want to see in the world. I didn't feel like I had anything outwardly, overwhelmingly against, but then I realized that when we went through our change with the name, I was quite upset with our organization. Is that energy still inside of me? Because if it is, then that energy is contributing to the violence we are seeing in the world around us. So if anyone has anything, I invite you to take it into prayer, to shift your consciousness around that, and to head back to the mat, to whatever sustains you. So I want to leave you with that thought. And now I guess I'm going to get a 6 or a 5 coming up. So I'm going to invite you just to take a moment and do just that, to close your eyes and to take some deep cleansing breaths. And to start off with that question, if there is anything inside of me which needs to be forgiven or released around religion, race, culture, color, sex, anything, take a deep breath in, and when you're ready to release it, let it go. Allow that energy to be transmuted to something higher. And as you do, to remember that there is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and that life is our life now. That with serenity, courage, and wisdom, we are the change we want to see in the world. I am grateful for this divine community of beautiful souls, of enlightened beings, of conscious people of faith. As we go forward to be that change we want to see in the world, we are the light, we are the peace, we are the joy, the love, the freedom, the grace. And that as we each step out to touch the lives, the hearts, the minds of everyone with whom we come in contact, our world is lighter and lighter and lighter. I am grateful for the love that we have, for the peace that we embody, for the wisdom that we know. Our life is good. I am grateful that this is so. And together we say, and so it is.